Hey, have you ever wondered, what do women get in paradise in Islam? Well, if you didn't wonder this, a lot of Muslim women and men have wondered this. Why would they wonder such a thing? Why is this a big question among Muslim youth? Well, there's a reason for that. You see, the Quran speaks about what men get. It speaks about what men get in many different verses in the Quran. For example, it says in Surah 78, they will get full-breasted companions of equal age. Full-breasted, you know what that implies, right? It says in another verse, gardens of perpetual residence, there'll be abundant fruit and drink, and there will be women limiting their glances and of equal age. So, lowering their gaze. Shy women, right? In another verse of the Quran, it says a similar thing, that there'll be women limiting their glances untouched before them by man or jinni. So the virgins, not just to men, but also to jinns. So even jinns didn't have sex with them. I know some of you might be wondering, how does that work? I've never seen a jinn having sex with a human. It's possible in Muhammad's world, in pre-Islamic Arabia, this was a thing. Sex with jinns. Now, don't ask me how and how that works exactly. I can't really explain it because I've never actually seen a jinn myself. But yes, there is such a thing. So your spouse in paradise, you'll have your wife from this world, plus you'll have at least two virgins, two hur al-ain, right? The verse in the Quran that speaks about hur al-ain are plentiful. And these are some examples. What does Noman Ali Khan have to say about this? This is what I heard growing up when I was studying and learning Islam.
وَلَكُمْ فِيهَا مَا تَشْتَهِي أَنفُسُكُمْ. And by the way, once you do make it to Jannah, sir, ma'am, when you do make it to Jannah, whatever you wanted, you will get to have.
Hold up. Whatever you wanted. So what do gay men get in paradise? Say they never did anything haram in their lives. They were chaste, they were celibate, they lived a single life, and maybe they got married to a woman despite not desiring that. They were a good Muslim, they prayed 5 times a day. What would they get in paradise? Anything they want? Even if they want to have sex with other men? Really? Even though that's considered an unlawful, despicable thing in Islam? Come on. What if you want to have sex with someone else's wife? Are you going to get that in paradise? What if, the possibilities are endless, of things which are completely forbidden and considered even immoral in Islam. You're saying you'll get whatever you want? Come on.
Whatever you have ever wanted, you get to have. وَلَكُمْ فِيهَا مَا تَشْتَهِي أَنفُسُكُمْ. Now here, on a side note, I want to say a couple of things about what we get in Jannah. You will notice that in the Quran, Allah certainly talks a lot about what men will get in Jannah. Allah talks a lot about what men are going to get. Men are going to get beautiful spouses. Allah talks a lot about those. And sometimes women read that and they get a little disturbed by it. Like, why is this coming up? I love the Quran, but when this part comes up, I just kind of get a little disturbed by hur. And then, of course, there are some sisters who come up and ask me some questions about that and say, I have a friend. It's not me. I have a friend. She was wondering, how come Allah doesn't talk about what women get in the Quran? Now, how come He only talks about what
exactly
men get in the Quran?
Exactly.
Could you?
Why is He only talking about what men get?
It's not for me. It's for my friend. My friend has that problem, and
These Muslim women are, embarrassed about asking this question because it seems very un-Muslim-like to question, why doesn't Allah, talk about us? Why do the men get all of the, the words?
Friend with that problem. So this isn't for you. This is for the friend that you have that has that question. Okay? Clearly not you, because you're good. Okay. So I want to try to at least talk to you a little bit about that problem, or the reason for which Allah did not talk about. For example, we talked about men are going to have these beautiful spouses in Jannah, but He didn't talk about what? Women having these beautiful spouses. And how come He brought up beautiful spouses anyway? So there's a few things to talk about here.
So just to get it out of the way, I sometimes hear non-Muslims bring up these verses in the Quran that talk about boys serving them. There's going to be servants. They're going to be like beautiful young men serving them. And I have to say that I do not believe by any means whatsoever that this is of a sexual nature. There's no indication given whatsoever that these young boys are going to be like, they're not sexualized, right? They're just like servants. So I don't think that it's accurate to represent this as this is what women get or this is what even men get. Like this is just like, like a waiter that comes and gives you food. It's not someone that you're sleeping with, and that's not implied, and I never heard that implied as a Muslim, just to get that out of the way.
The first thing I want to talk to you about is Allah is not going to give you kind of like men are just walking into this palace and everything's awesome and the ladies are staying there in the waiting room in Jannah like, well, we're here. This ayah first of all answers the question, وَلَكُمْ فِيهَا مَا تَشْتَهِي أَنفُسُكُمْ. You will get whatever you really, really have wanted.
So if I'm a woman, and I wanted multiple male partners in paradise, would I get that? If I'm a woman and I don't want my husband, to have another wife in paradise, another woman that he's having sex with, well, what about that? That's what I desire as a woman. I want to be monogamous. I want to be monogamous with my husband. Can I have that? Clearly not, because the Quran gives all of these additional benefits to men.
Want. And that's not limited to men, it's actually men and women. So the first answer is, in Jannah, every human being will get whatever they really, truly want. And that is not at the expense of women. So you don't worry about it, you're taken care of. You're taken care of. That's number one. Number two, I've talked about this experiment a few times, but it's okay. It's good review. Some of you haven't heard about it before. When I used to teach at a Sunday school, I asked a bunch of teenage boys to answer a question. They were all 16 and older, and I said, whatever you desire most, if you could have it, whatever you think about most, desire most, forget about the fact that it's halal or haram, forget about, I will not tell your parents, I will not report you. What do you really, 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 really want, wish you could have, can't have right now, and if there were no rules, nothing stopping you, you would have it. Please write it down on a piece of paper. Do not write your name or social security number or shoe size. Just write what you want, put it in a piece of paper, fold it up, put it in this bag, and give it to me. The guys were done in literally 20 seconds. And interestingly enough, the guys did not have a disagreement about what they want. At a certain age, this side of the ummah has ijma'. They are in absolute consensus about what they want. And I don't have to tell you, your smile tells me itself, you know the answer. Okay.
Clearly asking a bunch of 16 to 18-year-old, let's be honest, probably sexually repressed young Muslim men what they want in life, it's clear what they're going to say. Like, you're telling these young men who are getting to the peak of the sexual desires, thou must not date women, thou must not sleep with women, thou has to be single. Thou can get married later on when you have a dowry and you have a job and you have this and that, but you can't have sex until then. So you have a bunch of sexually repressed males and you're asking them what most they want in life. Well, what do you think? They're at the peak of the sexual desire.
Turn to this side. Bunch of teenage girls. Please write down what you want on a piece of paper, what you want the most, what you want more than anything else. If you could have it right now, if you wish you could have it right now, and don't worry about what's halal and what's haram, just tell me what you want. Write it on a piece of paper and give it to me. You have 30 seconds. Guess what happened next? Oh my God, what are you going to write? What are you going to write? Hey, what did you write? Did the guys do that? Hey, what are you going to... The guy's like... There's no confusion. But on the girl's side, 30 seconds are over. Okay, time to hand in the papers. Wait, can you have some more time? And one girl hands the paper. No, can I have it back? Wait, I changed my mind. Can I have it back? She crosses it out and writes something else. And she's about to hand that in, and it's still, and actually, it was a really painful thing to watch. On the girl's side, it was not an easy thing to watch. What do I want the most? For some girls, it was simple. For some girls, it was really, really complicated.
What that shows us is that young women are more mature than young men, right? And they have different priorities. In another video, he said, you know, they asked about having a pony. They wanted to be with their mom. The interesting thing is, do you think that the young men don't want to spend time with their mothers and fathers? Do you think they don't want to have, like, you know, fast cars and all of those things? Of course they do. Of course they do. He's, you know, he's oversimplifying the situation. He's not giving these young women credit for being more mature and more diverse in their opinions rather than the men. And first of all, Noman Ali Khan, do you ever watch or do you ever listen to teenagers or even young women in general? I'm sure they all want an attractive, handsome boyfriend. I'm sure they all want to be swept away by a young man, or even someone with, you know, that's a hunk, that's attractive, that has a, you know, biceps and, you know, a six-pack and is 6'1". You know, I'm sure these young women want that. But, you know, they're taught that they can't say such things. They're taught that they can't verbalize. They're taught to be ashamed about their sexual desire, especially in a conservative Muslim mindset. She's not allowed to admit that, oh yeah, I find guys hot. Oh my God, I saw that guy yesterday. He smelled so good. And you find that in certain cultures, women are not able to say that. You know, my wife, you know, being Canadian, she's able to verbalize this. You know, growing up in Canada, she was open and she's able to admit when she finds a guy attractive, right? She's able to admit, she's able to verbalize. And, you know, one of the things she used to tell me is, you know, all of these Muslim men think that, oh, women don't have sexual desires, you know, and they act like, oh, it's only the men that are horny. Come on, women get horny too, okay? Dude.
That Allah knows us better than we know ourselves. Allah in the Quran talks in one place, in Surah Al Imran, Allah talks about what men want. Allah makes a list of things that not people want, but what? Men want. And at number 1, He put women. And then He put other things.
Okay. Why didn't you point out those other things that Allah knows men so well that they want? Let's see what men want according to Allah. He knows so well. They want women. They want sons. Okay, they want sons? Hold up there. I wanted a daughter, okay? I finally got one after 4 boys. But heaped up sums of gold and silver. Okay, you think women don't want these things? You think women don't want, you know, partners, sexually attractive partners? You think they don't want sons and daughters? Well, he didn't even mention daughters. I guess men don't want daughters according to Allah the Almighty. Heaped up sums of gold and silver? Yeah, women would want that too. Fine branded horses, by golly! I've always wanted a fine branded horse. And cattle. Jeez, like Allah knows me so well that I wanted cattle. The fresh smell of manure in the morning, I mean, so beautiful. And tilled land, I mean, me living in the city, I never thought about, but maybe Allah knows me better than I know myself. I always wanted tilled land, cattle, fine branded horses. Yeah, that's right, Allah. Thank you for educating us about what men actually want. And Noman Ali Khan, of course, forgot to mention all those other things. So really, he knows what Muhammad knows what men want, at least at that era. Now, come on, it's totally different.
Okay, that's in Ali Imran. There is no ayah in the entire Quran that talks about what women want.
Wow, are you surprised? Are you surprised there's no ayah in the Quran that talks about what women want? Sheikh, Ustad, you deserve a prize for saying that. The most obvious thing in the world, Allah doesn't care about women. He never did. This was actually confirmed by the companions of Muhammad. According to Tafsir Ibn Kathir, on the context of the revelation of 33:35, Imam Ahmad recorded that Salama, the wife of the Prophet, said, I asked the Prophet, why is it that we are not mentioned in the Quran as men are? And then, the next thing you know, Allah revealed the verse. Indeed, the Muslim the Muslim men and Muslim women, believing men and believing women, obedient men and obedient women, truthful men, truthful women, da 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 da. Allah has provided forgiveness and a great reward. Even in the one ayah that was for the women after they complained, it still has to mention what the Muslim men get. Allah is the best troll. How? How is that not trolling? Prophet Muhammad, why is it that the women are never mentioned in the Quran? Why is it that all of these things are mentioned for the men? Allah's response, indeed, for the men and the women, for the men and the women, for the men and the women, for the men. You get the point. You get the point. If you didn't get the point, Allah doesn't care about women. Islam is a religion by men, for men. Yes, that's right. There is no verse in the Quran talking about what women want. Now you know.